Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to another Fallout 4 Mods Weekly, the show where we take a look at some of the interesting mods that have come out during the week. Today we have a good variety of mods, including some new enemies, some spawn overhauls, and a couple of new weapon mods. So let's just go ahead and jump into it with the first mod. And that first mod is going to be Undying Warhammer 40k Necrons by RascalArt. What this mod is going to do is add in Necrons from the Warhammer 40k universe into Fallout 4. Specifically, it's actually going to be a replacement of the Fallout 4's synths. So anywhere that synth would spawn will be replaced with these Warhammer 40k Necrons, and I think it's a pretty cool replacement. Arguing the lore friendliness of something from a completely different franchise is pretty difficult, but these guys I think look pretty cool in Fallout. Especially given that in this mod they're replacing synths, as Necrons are already a humanoid robotic type enemy, and they just kind of fit the style of synths, but in a new sort of way. Now, instead of the standard white with red weapons, they are black with green weapons, so it gives a different vibe, but still are some really interesting robot enemies. Speaking of those glowing green weapons, those weapons are actually included as part of this pack, so you will get access to the Lich Blade, as well as the Gauss Flare Rifle. So this is a pretty nice little pack, especially if you're a Warhammer 40k fan. You get a brand new enemy type, as well as a couple of new weapons that the enemies will be carrying around that you can also take yourself and customize at a weapons workbench. Pretty neat little mod, and definitely adds to the different variety of enemies that you can see out in Fallout. So if Fallout 4 is getting a bit repetitive and you're tired of fighting the same old synths, give this one a try. The next mod that we have is actually a pretty great pair with the Necron mod, and that's going to be Gen 0, the Gen 1 synth voice rework by Satafinix. This mod is going to be a rework to the way the voice sounds when it comes to Gen 1 synths. In particular, this is going to make their voice a lot deeper, still with the vanilla style, but a little bit more intimidating and honestly a bit more horrifying. So I'll go ahead and let some previews of the voice play so you can hear it standalone and how it actually sounds without any interruptions.
Scanning unknown identity. Clearance confirmed. Automated process for synth creation should not be interrupted. Hitting sensors fully operational. Whoever or whatever you are, I know you are out there.
So yeah, I think that's a pretty cool little rework. It doesn't completely overhaul the voice, but it just makes it a little bit deeper and a bit more interesting. And again, it just changes up the vanilla game, which is what we're modding for in the first place. Now, it's important to note that this only changes the voice on Gen 1 synths, so Gen 2 and Gen 3 will be the same, but when you run into the occasional Gen 1 synth, they will have their own custom unique voice, and it sounds pretty cool. Gotta like this one, and I think that that voice pairs very well with the style of the 40k Necrons from the last mod. Pretty interesting little combo in this Mods Weekly. Up next, we have a new little weapon pack, and that's going to be Fallout London Bombs Away by the team of Fallout London. This mod is going to add in 3 new weapons to the game, first of which is the Cricket Bat, the second is a Tennis Racket, and the final is a Cricket Ball Grenade. The Cricket Bat is going to be a pretty standard two-handed melee weapon, similar to the baseball bat from the vanilla game. The Tennis Racket will be a one-handed blunt melee weapon, and then the Cricket Ball Grenade will function very similar to the baseball grenade, except this one has a timed explosive as opposed to an impact explosive. There are a bunch of modifications for these melee weapons, which is always a huge plus. For the Cricket Bat, we have the option for no upgrade, some barbed wire that wraps around the head, some extra barbed wire, which will go around almost the whole thing. We do have a nails option, which sadly for me shows up as untextured. Not sure if that's an issue in my game or the mod itself. We have the reinforced one, and then some screwdrivers, which again, for some reason, show up untextured in my game, and then the blades. I really like the style of the screwdriver one, just a shame that it shows up untextured in my game. Not sure if that's a bug with the mod itself, but it's probably something on my end. For the Tennis Racket, we have no upgrade. We have the Bladed Head, which adds some nice blades, the Electrified Head, which will add some electric damage, the Reinforced Head, which will add some reinforcement, which will just increase the overall damage, and then finally the Spiked Head, which will give you a combination of saw blades and nails for some extra bleeding damage. Definitely some cool melee mods. Really excited to get another peek into some more stuff from the Fallout London project, and having a cricket bat, it just makes perfect sense since there's always a baseball bat in just about every Fallout. So, really cool weapon mods. These things are not added to the level list though, so you will have to craft them at a chemistry station. Just something to be aware of when you download the mod for yourself. Really quick before we move on to the latter half of the video, I just want to plug something very, very fast, and that is that if you didn't catch it yesterday, I put out a video as well as a poll to vote on the next mod that I'm making. As you may or may not know, I released my own standalone weapon mod not too long ago, that being the Skewer, and now it is time to move on to my next mod, and you guys get a chance to vote on what that is. So I will have a link down in the description below, as well as a pinned comment that will take you to the video where you can vote on the next mod. Alright, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and jump into the next mod we're reviewing right now. And that mod is going to be the Immersive Map 4K 12-in-1 by MrArtPixeL. This is exactly as it describes. It is a new immersive map replacer that comes in 4K textures, and there are a total of 12 options, and they are all really incredible, and they let you customize the map to be exactly how you want it. There are 4 base designs, one of which is going to be the vanilla design, which is just a pretty similar to the vanilla style map, but upscaled to 4K. There is the terrain design, which will mark up all of the terrain and have it a bit more topographical. Then there are 2 blueprint designs. One is the standard blueprint design, which is blue, and then it has the land marked with dots, whereas the water is solid. And then there is the inverse of that, where the water is marked with dots and the land is solid, which that is my personal favorite style. Now that being said, there are also other versions that you can get of each of these types. There are subtypes which include different squares and lines to kind of mark off your distance on the map. I personally like having a really clean map where I can see everything, so having the option to be able to choose how many lines I want versus not, and also the style, is really cool. Not to mention these are really high quality and available in 4K, making for a pretty excellent map replacer. Up next, we have a pretty big weapon mod, and that is the Escape from Boston Heckler and Koch G36 by SalientPhantom. Now, we did do a full deep dive in this not too long ago, where we checked out all of the attachments and everything available, but we'll give a brief overview in this video just so you know what you're getting when you download it. Like I said, this adds in the Heckler and Koch G36. This thing is added to the level list and will start spawning in the world after level 25 on Gunners, Raiders, and Vendors. It has an absolute ton of modern attachments that you can add, including a ton of stocks, sights, lasers, just about anything you could ask for in a modern weapon mod. And overall, this thing is just amazing. Of course, it comes with its own custom reload animations, sounds, and models and textures. And overall, it's just a great addition if you're somebody who likes the modern weapons in Fallout. There are a handful of G36 mods out there already, but now you really get to pick and choose exactly which one you want and specify it to suit your needs, which is always a nice thing when it comes to modding, having a variety of options so you're not stuck with just one version. This mod is definitely high quality, and I recommend you check it out if you're at all interested in tactical modern weapons. This is definitely a good one. And the final mod that we're checking out today is a pretty interesting one. It is called the Extermination by Yourboizach, and this is going to be a leveled list edit that is going to replace all of the non-humanoid creatures with humans, or at the very least humanoid enemies. I have the exact breakdown of what exactly is going to be replaced right here, so let's go ahead and go through it. So each type of enemy found out in the world will now be replaced with a different faction. For starters, Rad Scorpions will be replaced by the Brotherhood of Steel. I like this one. It makes a good bit of sense because Rad Scorpions are typically only found in high-level areas, at least for the most part, and now they will be replaced by the Brotherhood of Steel, which is a pretty high-level faction, being that they aren't found from the beginning of the game. Bloatflies will be replaced with the Children of Adam, another one that makes a good bit of sense, and it kind of sprinkles the Children of Adam all over the map as opposed to just the right side of the map. This next one's a big chunk of enemies. The Deathclaws, Feral Ghouls, Mirelurks, Bloodbugs, and Stingwings will all be replaced by Gunners. This is going to put Gunners just about everywhere, which is a great thing if you're somebody who's downloading this to replace all of the creatures with a more militaristic style enemy, which I think is the intention of this mod, is to kind of remove the Fallout from Fallout and replace it with more human enemies that you can then overhaul with different armor mods. So yeah, this is going to replace just about everything with Gunners. Now, there are some what may be unforeseen consequences of these replacements, some issues with quests as well as some spawns that may not make the most sense. For example, when you go over to Salem and you encounter Barney Rook, instead of fighting Mirelurks, now he's fighting Gunners, and there is a chance that they shoot him and kill him. Mirelurks typically can't do that, but Gunners can, and that's what happened in my experience. He was dead, and that meant that I couldn't complete his quest. So, pretty interesting side effect. Another thing, Mirelurk eggs now spawn Gunners. That's odd. If the goal of this is for a little bit more of a tactical, immersive, modern load order, running into some eggs that pop out gunners is kind of interesting. So just something to be aware of when you download this. You will run into some spawning gunners. Let's go ahead and check out the rest of that list really quick. Now, super mutants, mutant hounds, and mole rats will be replaced with raiders. So that's right, you will no longer encounter super mutants whatsoever with this mod enabled. Instead, they will all be raiders. Additionally, the super mutant behemoths specifically will be replaced with the railroad agents. I think that's a pretty cool thing because behemoths only spawn one at a time and they're very rare, just like the railroad agents. They are singular agents that are out there by themselves. Makes a lot of sense. And then finally, all of the rad roaches in the game will be replaced with synths. Something I didn't test, but I think I should, is the very beginning of the game. I'm curious if synths are there in Vault 111. To be fair, this would make a little bit of sense given that the Institute did have some foul play over there, and maybe they're just kind of there for some reconnaissance. Pretty interesting. This is definitely a pretty crazy spawn replacement mod, but if you're not a fan of the creatures in Fallout 4, and specifically I think if this is a tactical playthrough where you're trying to get more humanoid enemies, this is definitely a good option. Just be aware of some funky things that can happen with certain spawns and quests. So yeah, that is Mods Weekly this week. I hope you guys enjoyed some of these mods. If you want to try any of them out for yourself, don't forget to check out the links in the description below. I will have links for all PC and Xbox versions if they are available. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to drop a rating. Subscribe if you haven't already for more videos just like this, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace! And really quick, I'd like to make a shout out to all of our patrons. Your donations are greatly appreciated and really help to support the channel and videos just like this one. So again, thank you.